Have you ever paused for a moment just to think about how quickly life can change? What if I told you that in the blink of an eye, your entire life could change? One moment, one choice, 1 second can alter everything. The path you thought was set, the future you believed was certain. In this video, we're diving into the incredible power of a single second. Whether it's a decision, an encounter, or a twist of fate, sometimes everything can shift in the blink of an eye. Join me as we explore moments that prove just how fragile and unpredictable life can be, and how in an instant, everything can change. Stay tuned to find out how that 1 second can reshape your life forever. Time is one of the most powerful forces in our lives. It's something that is constantly moving, ticking away in the background of everything we do. But more often than not, we don't pay attention to it until we realize just how fast it's gone. We get so caught up in our daily activities that the seconds, minutes, and hours slip through our fingers without us truly noticing. But in reality, time doesn't wait for anyone. It doesn't care if we're ready or not. It moves forward, regardless of what's happening in our lives. And in that constant flow, things can change, sometimes in the blink of an eye. We all know that time is moving, but how often do we truly feel it? Seconds keep ticking away, one after another, never stopping, never pausing. It's like a river that keeps flowing, and we're all just passengers on its current. We spend our days rushing from one task to the next, so busy trying to keep up with the demands of life that we forget how fleeting each moment really is. We're in constant motion, working, texting, driving, scrolling, eating, talking, and even sleeping. But each of these actions is, in a way, a series of tiny seconds passing by. Seconds that we rarely stop to acknowledge. You see, time moves so quietly, so effortlessly, that it's easy to forget how powerful it is. We look at the clock, and before we know it, the minutes and hours have passed. It's almost like a silent thief, taking away precious moments without us realizing. Time doesn't stop for us to catch up, and it doesn't care if we're ready for the next stage of our lives. Every second counts, but it's easy to let those moments slip by unnoticed. Think about the last time you were engrossed in something. Maybe you were scrolling through your phone, watching a video, or texting. The next thing you know, you look up and hours have passed. You check the time, and you're shocked by how much time has gone by, yet it felt like just a moment. How is it that time flew by so quickly? You wonder. This is a perfect example of how time moves swiftly, without us even noticing it. How many times have you glanced at your phone to check the time, only to realize you've been glued to it for longer than you planned? What about the times you find yourself lost in conversation with a friend or loved one, and suddenly hours have passed? This happens because time isn't linear in the way we experience it. While 60 seconds in a minute seems like a fixed measurement, we don't always perceive it that way. Our perception of time changes depending on what we're doing. When we're engaged or focused on something, time seems to fly by. But when we're waiting for something, time can feel like it's dragging on. The realization that a whole hour or even an entire day has passed in what felt like an instant is one of the most humbling reminders of how quickly time moves. Let's slow down for a second and really think about this. How much can happen in a single second? In that moment, anything could change. 1 second can lead to a pivotal decision or set something into motion. It's in that split moment that we may say something that alters the course of a relationship, or we might make a choice that sets us down a completely different path. 1 second can mean the difference between meeting someone who changes your life or missing an opportunity forever. A second can be the moment that a dream is born, or a second can be the time we regret not acting when we should have. In a race, 1 second can be the difference between winning and losing. In a conversation, 1 second of hesitation could change the entire outcome of a decision. In a moment of danger, 1 second of quick thinking could save a life. A second is small, but it holds so much potential. In that single moment, the direction of our entire life can shift. So why is it that we don't always appreciate the weight that a second carries? The speed of time is a reminder that we must learn to appreciate the present moment. Often, we think we have all the time in the world, but the truth is, time doesn't wait for us to figure things out. It moves forward, and we have to learn to make the most of it. Every second is a chance to make a decision, a chance to change the direction of our lives, a chance to live with intention. The next time you catch yourself losing track of time, take a moment to reflect. What is happening in that second? What could that one moment mean for you? And remember, time moves quickly, so make sure that you're spending your moments wisely. Whether it's in a conversation, a decision, or an opportunity, you never know when 1 second might change everything. We often think of major life events, like a marriage, a promotion, or a big move, as the moments that define our future. But what if I told you that sometimes it's the smallest, almost unnoticed decisions that shape everything? A decision made in an instant, a fleeting thought, or an action taken on impulse can set off a chain of events that ultimately alters the entire course of our lives. Have you ever made a decision on the spot, not realizing how much it would change everything? Maybe you decided to go to a job interview at the last minute, or perhaps you spoke up in a meeting when you usually would have stayed quiet, only to find that moment turn into a defining point in your life. Life is full of seemingly insignificant choices. We make hundreds of decisions each day: what to eat for breakfast, which route to take to work, or whether to respond to a text message. But these small choices, taken one after another, often form the intricate pattern of our lives. What's fascinating is that sometimes these choices have massive ripple effects, affecting not just our present moment, but also our future in ways we can't always anticipate. A small decision can lead to new opportunities, life-changing encounters, or even life-altering consequences. Imagine you're hesitant about attending a job interview. You almost decide to skip it because you feel underprepared, or you don't feel like it will lead anywhere. But something prompts you to go, and it turns out to be the opportunity of a lifetime. Take the example of Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple. He once shared that he nearly didn't attend a meeting with a potential investor because of his busy schedule. Yet, it was that very meeting that secured the funding needed for the company's growth and ultimately led to Apple's success. Sometimes we doubt our own decisions, and the decision to go for that interview or attend that meeting feels trivial. But in hindsight, we can often look back and realize how that one small step completely changed the course of our journey. That decision led to a new relationship, a job, or an opportunity that set off a chain reaction that we could have never predicted. A missed flight might seem like a negative experience at first, but what if missing that flight allowed you to meet someone who would later become a mentor, a partner, or a lifelong friend? One small setback that we see as inconvenient could end up changing everything. Let's take the example of a person missing their flight and accidentally bumping into someone in the airport lounge. That unexpected meeting turns into a conversation that sparks a new business partnership or leads to a crucial networking connection. Perhaps that conversation leads to a collaboration that launches a successful startup or turns into a chance to work on a dream project. It's easy to get frustrated when things don't go as planned, but this example highlights how something that seems negative, like missing a flight, could actually be the moment that changes your life. The missed opportunity can sometimes open the door to something much bigger than you could have ever imagined. Life has a way of rearranging itself if you let it. Another small decision with immense impact is speaking up in a meeting when you typically stay silent. A momentary decision to voice an idea or offer your opinion can dramatically influence your career trajectory. Consider the case of a young professional who, in a team meeting, hesitated for a moment, but then decided to share their innovative idea for a new product or marketing strategy. The leader of the meeting, impressed by the suggestion, asks them to lead the project, which sets off a chain of events that leads to a promotion, recognition, or even a new job opportunity. So many times, we hold back because we fear judgment or think our ideas aren't good enough. But when we take that 1 second to speak up, we might unlock new opportunities. One comment, one piece of advice shared in that fleeting moment could be the reason someone notices you and takes your career to the next level. These examples serve as a reminder that small decisions aren't insignificant. They are the building blocks of our future. Sometimes we think that we need to make huge, life-altering decisions to make an impact, but in reality, it's often those little moments that change everything. It's in those moments of hesitation, those small decisions that don't feel important at the time, that our future is shaped. It might seem like nothing at the time, but in hindsight, it's the decisions we didn't hesitate to make that moved us forward. Think about a decision you made that you didn't put much thought into but turned out to have a lasting impact. Maybe it was a chance encounter with someone or a choice to take a certain path that led you to where you are today. How different would things be if you hadn't made that decision? We all know that life is made up of countless moments. Some are fleeting, barely noticeable, while others seem to stretch on forever, filled with significance. But have you ever stopped to consider how powerful those seemingly insignificant moments can be? Those small seconds that we often overlook can be the very moments that shape our future, redirect our path, or even change our entire perspective on life. In this section, let's dive deep into the idea that a single moment, even one that lasts for only a second, can hold the key to the next chapter of our lives. The beauty of life is that these moments often come unexpectedly, and we don't always realize their significance at the time. Yet, in hindsight, we can see that everything we've done, every success, every failure, every choice, might have been set into motion in a fleeting instant. Life is often seen as a series of events unfolding in time. We make decisions, take actions, and experience both successes and failures. But what if these experiences can all be traced back to one single moment? A second in time, a decision made, or even just being in the right place at the right time. These moments are powerful enough to set the stage for everything that follows. What if everything you've accomplished so far could be traced back to just one moment? Have you ever wondered how much of what you've achieved was set in motion by a single second? A fleeting moment when you chose to act, speak up, or just showed up where you needed to be. What if a single decision you made a few years ago is the reason you're where you are today, good or bad? One of the clearest examples of a life-changing moment is being in the right place at the right time. Imagine this scenario. You're walking through a crowded street when you bump into an old friend, someone you haven't seen in years. In that brief moment, you chat about life, and they mention that their company is hiring. You exchange contact details, and within a few days, you're offered a job that changes your career and your life. That moment, that single second of chance, led to the opportunity that transformed your entire future. Without that encounter, you might have continued on a completely different path. Think about Oprah Winfrey. She often shares stories about how a single moment, like her first break into television as a young woman, helped set her on the path to becoming the influential media mogul she is today. She had the right people notice her, and her rise was sparked by a moment of being in the right place at the right time. In her case, it wasn't just about being talented. It was about meeting the right person at the right moment, which led to her landing her first significant job. That one opportunity changed her trajectory and, ultimately, the course of her entire career. Another example can be J.K. Rowling, author of the Harry Potter series. She was on a train, traveling from Manchester to London, when she came up with the idea for Harry Potter. She didn't know at that moment that a single thought would eventually lead to her becoming one of the most successful authors in the world. That train ride, that seemingly ordinary second, was the beginning of a magical journey that impacted millions of readers and changed her life forever. Sometimes, it's not about being in the right place at the right time. It's about making a decision in a split second, a moment when everything could go either way. Think about a time when you were facing a decision, and you made a snap choice that later turned out to be monumental. For example, choosing a college in a particular city, not knowing that your future partner or business partner would come from that very place. Taking a risk by moving to a new city, starting a new job, or switching careers. Things you weren't sure about at the time, but those decisions ended up being a turning point in your life. Often, we don't realize how much power a second decision holds. That second can lead us into new opportunities, unexpected friendships, or profound changes. We might look back and think, if I had made that choice, my life would look completely different. The most powerful moments often occur during times of challenge, conflict, or opportunity. They can be moments of intense emotion, deep thought, or pure action. The moment you stood up for yourself in a situation that required courage. The instant you forgave someone or chose to let go of the past. The time you took a chance on someone or something despite the odds. These are the moments that shape who we become. We may not always recognize in the moment, but they leave a lasting impact on our personal growth, relationships, and future success. The power of a moment is not just in the event itself, but in how we recognize and act upon it. Some people go through life not realizing how important their moments are. They wait for big events, only to miss out on the smaller, yet equally significant opportunities that can change everything. Think about your life for a moment. Can you pinpoint the seconds that changed everything for you? Life is made up of moments. Those moments might feel small at the time, but they can have far-reaching effects on our future. What will your next moment bring? Will it be a moment of decision, of action, or of chance that sets you on a new path? Remember, life's most profound changes often begin with a heartbeat, or a simple choice. Be aware, because the power to change everything is always right there, waiting for you to step into it. A single second of courage or hesitation can define success or failure. This idea explores how fleeting moments of decision can shape our future in ways we might not fully understand at the time. Often, the difference between success and failure, joy and regret, comes down to a single choice made in just 1 second. Whether you choose to act with courage or remain in hesitation, that split second could have a lasting impact on your life. Life is full of moments where we are faced with decisions, some big, some small. But what if I told you that one of the most defining moments in your life could happen in just a second? In this instant, you have the power to decide. Will you take a leap of faith, or will you hesitate and let that moment slip by? The choice you make can either propel you forward or hold you back. Let's think about a time when you had to step outside of your comfort zone. Maybe it was applying for a new job that seemed like a stretch, or moving to a new city where you didn't know anyone, or even speaking up when you felt your voice didn't matter. That 1 second when you decided to act with courage, to trust yourself and take that first step, though it may have felt risky at the time, could be the reason why your life today is different. Think about a moment when you were offered an opportunity, but felt unsure of whether you were ready for it. That one moment of courage to step into the unknown, to try something new, might have changed your life forever. Perhaps you applied for a job you felt you were unqualified for, but something inside told you to go for it anyway. After facing the initial nerves and doubts, you got the job. The success you achieved wouldn't have been possible if you had chosen not to apply, if you had hesitated, if you had given in to fear in that 1 second. Courage is often built on small moments of vulnerability, where you decide to take that step even when uncertainty looms. Now, think about a time when you chose to stay where you were comfortable, even though you knew deep down that it wasn't where you want to be. Maybe you stayed in a job because it was stable, even though it didn't fulfill you, or you didn't speak up in a relationship because you feared confrontation. The 1 second of hesitation to make a change, to take action, might have been the very reason you stayed stuck, unsure, and unfulfilled for longer than you wanted. Imagine a time when a friend asked you to join a new adventure, whether it was traveling to a new country or starting a new project, but you decided not to because it seemed too risky. Now, looking back, you might wonder, what if I had said yes? What if I had stepped outside of my comfort zone? Maybe you pass up an opportunity to be a part of something bigger, something exciting, and now that opportunity is gone. You can't help but ask yourself, would my life have been different if I had taken that 1 second to say yes? Fear of change, uncertainty, or even failure can often hold us back in that 1 second. But remember, staying in the same place might not guarantee happiness either. Sometimes, what's scarier than change is staying stagnant. When you look back on these moments, the ones where you either took that leap or hesitated, it's natural to wonder, what would have happened if I made a different choice in that one moment? Would things be better or worse today? It's a common question many of us ask ourselves, especially when we experience regret or wonder about the what-ifs in life. Regret often stems from looking at a past decision and wondering how things could have turned out differently. The important thing to remember, though, is that you can't change the past. You can't go back and redo that 1 second. But what if we chose to focus on what we learned from that second? Whether you acted with courage or stayed in your comfort zone, every choice is a lesson. Every decision teaches you something valuable about yourself. What did you learn about your capacity to take risks? What did you learn about the things you are afraid of? How did that moment shape your character and your future? Sometimes, the right choice isn't about avoiding regret. It's about finding the lesson in that decision. Even if you look back and feel like you missed an opportunity, there's always room for growth. That 1 second didn't define your life. it was just one piece of your story. Could that moment of hesitation have been a gift in disguise? Maybe not taking action gave you time to think, to recalibrate, and to prepare for a bigger opportunity later on. On the other hand, maybe your courage has already started to pay off in ways you can't fully see yet. In life, 1 second can define everything. 1 second of courage can change your trajectory forever. It could open doors, create new opportunities, and lead you to places you never imagined. On the other hand, 1 second of hesitation, if you choose to stay in your comfort zone, can keep you in the same place for a little longer until you're ready to make the next decision. But remember, it's not about beating yourself up over the past. It's about understanding the power that every moment holds and how, even in that split second, you have the power to change everything. The 1 second that feels so insignificant at the time can, in hindsight, be the one that shapes your destiny. So, what's the 1 second in your life that changed everything? Was it a moment of courage or hesitation? I want to hear your stories. Have you ever made a decision in the blink of an eye that later defined your path? Or, looking back, do you wish you had acted differently? Share your thoughts below. Let's talk about how that 1 second shaped who you are today. Time, as we experience it, isn't always linear. The way we perceive time, whether it's speeding by or dragging on, can vary dramatically depending on the situation we're in, the emotions we're feeling, or the intensity of a particular moment. In other words, a second can feel like a fleeting instant in one situation, but it could stretch into eternity in another. Time is not just a mechanical tick-tock of a clock. It's deeply subjective and linked to how we feel in the moment. You might experience time differently during happy moments, stressful situations, or when you're in deep thought. Example: imagine you're waiting for something important, like an acceptance letter for a job. The seconds feel like hours. Every tick of the clock seems like it's dragging you closer to the unknown, and you feel every moment of anticipation. On the other hand, if you enjoy yourself at a party with friends, time seems to fly by, and before you know it, hours have passed. You didn't even notice the minutes slipping away because you were engrossed in joy. Have you ever had a conversation that lasted just a second, but the impact it left felt like it lasted forever? Or a moment that seemed to stretch on, only to discover hours had passed in what felt like minutes? This is a relatable way to get your audience thinking. Why does time feel so different in various circumstances? Strong emotions like love, fear, excitement, or sorrow can warp our perception of time. When you're in an emotionally charged moment, your brain processes information differently, causing time to feel distorted. Think about a first kiss. It's just a brief moment in the grand scheme of things, but to people involved, it feels like it lasts forever because of the deep emotions tied to it. Time seems to stand still in that moment. On the flip side, moment of trauma or intense stress, such as during an accident, can cause time to feel like it's moving slower, as if every second is dragging painfully on. Time also feels different when looking back at certain events. The memories of emotional moments tend to linger, stretching the moment in our minds far beyond what actually occurred. Remember a significant event like a graduation, a wedding, or the loss of a loved one. Although the event itself was relatively short, the emotional significance makes it feel like it lasted much longer. Our brain gives extra weight to those moments, making them feel timeless in our memory. It's not the actual duration of time that matters as much as the depth of what we experienced during that time. Neuroscientists explain that the intensity of emotions can affect the brain's ability to process time accurately. When you're experiencing heightened emotions, your brain is working overtime to absorb all the details. This causes us to become more aware of time, making it feel slower or faster, depending on the emotional state. When we are happy, we tend to overlook the passage of time, while during stressful moments, our attention to detail increases, making the time seem much slower. This phenomenon is known as time dilation. In different cultures and social situations, the sense of time varies. Too, in some cultures, people live more in the moment and don't focus on time as much, leading to a more fluid perception of time. Meanwhile, in more rigid, time-conscious cultures, every second is counted, making the perception of time more linear and structured. Imagine being in a conversation with someone you've just met at a party versus someone you've known for years. The interaction with the stranger might feel rushed and time might pass quickly. You're trying to make a good impression. However, with an old friend, time might feel more relaxed because there's no pressure and you can enjoy the conversation without the ticking clock constantly reminding you. When we are deeply absorbed in an experience, time tends to slow down. Think of a time when you were so immersed in a creative task, maybe writing, drawing, or cooking, that you didn't notice how much time passed until it was too late. That feeling is a testament to how time slows down when we are present and deeply engaged. Artists, musicians, or athletes often experience this sensation when they're deeply involved in their craft. They report feeling like time disappears. This experience is tied to the state of flow, a psychological concept where people are so immersed in an activity that they lose track of time. VD of time, we need to recognize that time is not a universal constant. It bends and stretches depending on the context of the moment, the emotions involved, and our level of attention. 1 second might feel like an eternity in moments of high emotion or fear. It might feel like it passes in a blink during happy or engaged moments. In the grand scheme of life, time is a tool. It's the moments that define it and the way we experience them that truly matter. 1 second can change everything. Not because of the number on the clock, but because of how that second makes us feel and what it leads us to do. So the next time time feels like it's slipping away, pause. Consider what's happening in that moment. And remember, time is always relative. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to forget the significance of the present moment. But the truth is, seizing the present, those small, often overlooked moments, could hold the key to true success and fulfillment. We live in an era that's constantly rushing forward. With the advent of technology, social media, and the pressure to always be on the go, we often find ourselves living in the future. Our thoughts are consumed by what's coming next. Our next meeting, the next day, the next goal, and the endless checklist of things we feel we need to accomplish. Imagine a typical day. You wake up, start with a to-do list, get ready for work, rush through traffic, and try to keep up with tasks. Even while you're at work, your mind is already thinking about what's next, the next project, the next meeting, the next promotion. But in all that hustle, do you ever stop to appreciate the small moments? How often do you find yourself racing through the day, only to realize that you've missed the joy of being present in the moment? What if success lies in the present? While it's important to have goals and aspirations, there's something powerful about embracing the present. In fact, success might not just be in the big milestones we work toward, but in the tiny, seemingly insignificant moments we often overlook. Think about the times when you've rushed through a task just to finish it. What if instead of rushing through everything, you took a few seconds to appreciate the task itself, to engage with the process? Maybe you're writing an email. What if you pause to truly think about the words you're crafting, to understand the importance of clear communication in that moment? You might realize that quality matters more than simply checking things off the list. Success doesn't always lie in the end goal. Often, it's the process, the journey, and the way you appreciate the little things that set the foundation for long-term success. Mindfulness is a practice of being fully present, aware, and engaged in the current moment. It's about tuning out distractions, focusing on what's happening now, and appreciating the beauty in the small, everyday occurrences. Mindfulness helps us slow down and avoid rushing through life. It allows us to truly see what's around us, the conversations we're having, the people we interact with, the experiences that pass by in a blur if we don't pay attention. When we're mindful, we shift our focus in the future or the past and bring our attention back to the present, where all life truly happens. When you take a moment to appreciate the silence while waiting for your coffee at a cafe, you're fully immersed in that moment. You might notice things you usually overlook. The hum of the coffee machine, the subtle aroma of freshly ground beans, or the way sunlight filters through the windows. This mindfulness brings you peace, and it helps you stay grounded in the present. When we're truly present, we're able to engage with life more fully. We experience emotions more deeply, form stronger connections with others, and discover deeper satisfaction in even the simplest moments. Being present allows us to enjoy the now. Instead of always looking ahead, we can enjoy the moment we're in, no matter how mundane it may seem. Build stronger relationships by actively listening and being emotionally available. we connect more authentically with the people around us. Find joy in the little things, whether it's enjoying a cup of tea, laughing with a friend, or watching a sunset. Being present allows us to fully enjoy life's little blessings. If you're having a conversation with a friend but are distracted by your phone or your thoughts about work, you're not truly present. Your friend might feel unheard, and the experience could feel shallow. But when you focus on them, listen with full attention, and engage in a moment, you build a deeper connection. That moment becomes more meaningful than you could have imagined. The present is always fleeting. It's here, then gone. It's too easy to let time slip by unnoticed. Yet, every second is an opportunity. When you choose to be fully present, you start to recognize that even small moments hold immense value. Example, think about the last time you were at a family gathering or with friends. How many conversations did you have that were meaningful because you were genuinely present? Maybe it was something as simple as a shared joke or a moment of understanding in a deep conversation. Reflection. If you didn't take that second to appreciate the people around you, that moment would have passed without leaving any lasting impact. But by embracing the moment, those small interactions can become memories that last a lifetime. Now that we understand how important the present is, let's talk about action. 1 second might feel insignificant, but it's that split-second decision that could change everything. Sometimes success, happiness, or growth lies in those brief moments when we decide to take action, or even when we decide to pause and appreciate life. Imagine standing at the edge of decision. Should you speak up, or should you stay silent? 1 second, that tiny window where you decide whether or not to act, can have a lasting effect. Similarly, taking a deep breath in a stressful moment and choosing to remain calm rather than reacting impulsively is a decision that can shift your whole day, your mindset, and your life. The truth is, we'll never know what tomorrow brings, but we can shape our present by choosing to be present now. The next time you feel like life is moving too fast, take a step back and pause. Notice the small moments, the way the sun feels on your skin, the sound of laughter in a room, or the satisfaction of completing a small task well. Sometimes, it only takes 1 second, 1 moment, 1 decision, 1 unexpected twist, and everything can change. Whether it's a life-altering choice or a fleeting encounter, those brief moments can leave an impact that lasts a lifetime. So, the next time you're faced with a split-second decision, remember, your life could shift in an instant. If this video made you think, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and don't forget to subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Keep making every second count.